All right, Kiss Army, welcome to the KissFAQ Podcast. Thank you for giving us your time today and letting us into your head. I hope we don't do any damage. This is a Kiss-related podcast by the board, for the board. We hope that you enjoy. Welcome to episode 427 of the KissFAQ Podcast. I'm your host, Julian Gill, admin on the FAQ message board, guilty of all accusations leveled at me today. I'm joined by Ken, 69th Blizzard.
Hello.
Lonnie, St. Louis Kiss.
What's up?
And Mark is Almighty Mark.
Greetings.
So, news going on. The first Australian box score dropped today, or I noticed it today. These are official figures from Polestar. Your eyes may tell you that it's accurate or not accurate. I don't really care as what's reported to the trades, so it's all I've got to go with officially. The two Sydney shows were reported and came in at 96% sold. That's 24,839 of 25,839 seats for both shows combined. I don't know what the individual ones are, whether one was sold out or not. The gross was nearly $3 million US, and that's
Wow.
4.25 roughly million Australian. So, yeah, apparently, they've got 5 sold out dates there. But our fans enjoying the show, so I see lots of Australian friends posting lots of happy Australian photos of Kiss fans in Australia seeing Kiss finally in Australia. So there we go. That's ultimately the only thing that matters in terms of metrics. Are the fans going nuts? It certainly looks that way. What else is going on? Any other news? God, I can't even remember now whether there was anything.
There's a doc interview.
Yeah, Adelaide, that's posted on the message board, and also I think a couple of other new sound bites here and there. Why don't we get to some comments? Ken, you want to read some of our recent comments from the last episode, and thank you for everyone who tuned in and gave us your ears for that hour. It seemed to be well received.
Yeah, thank you guys. I picked a few comments out from last episode. Again, thank you for your comments, good or bad. It's all good. So here we go. First one is from our friend David Donnelly, good friend. And he says, and this is regarding, I believe, the Creatures release. Again, I wonder if there will be some sold in the UK. I spent way too much getting Destroyer box and colored vinyl from Kiss Online, and sure enough, several UK outlets had it after the release and much cheaper. He said it was, and then about Creatures, I think, a great box set, unmissable, but yes, I would have loved to a full Rio DVD in there too, I guess in the box, Rio. So, yeah, I would like that too. That would be good. And I think it'll be out there in the UK, so I think it'll be okay. But thank you, David, for that. Next one I have from Rex Smitzer. I'm actually really excited about this box set. I actually think, from a music perspective, this Creatures box set might have been, or might even be better than Destroyer. I understand why they did what they did for the live tracks, but as a completist, it would be nice to get those concerts in their entirety. I really don't think those leaked soundboard shows will have any negative effect on the box set. I think it actually made more. It made more interest now. What do you guys think? I love the show, guys. What I think is, it may have created more interest. I think it was going to sell well anyway, either way. It's just, we were talking offline, and Julian said about being excited. It probably would have been more exciting to see those, shows, live shows, when Kiss announced it versus us kind of seeing it beforehand. It's like seeing your Christmas present early. Kind of things.
Yeah.
And then getting the track listing before the press release, so,
Right.
Perfect
so,
storm.
So thanks, Rex, for that. One more, and this is more on the other side of things. From Richard Webb, $300 for pieces of paper. Some demo CDs I know I would play once. Back in the box they go. I bought the Destroyer box kit because it was my second Kiss album, but even after I looked at all these paper replicas, I placed all the paper goods back in the box, and I haven't opened it since. The only thing I'll be ordering is the remastered Creatures album.
Hey.
Even the shirt that comes with the deluxe just looks so cheap with the fonts, and they had to slap the "in concert" phrase on the shirt, which I think looks ridiculous. Same with the Love Gun t-shirts that they used the sleeping bag logo. Whoever's coming up with these t-shirts certainly could do a better job. I really hope they come out with something for Kiss Alive 2. Yeah, me too.
Oh, so that now we know why you're reading that comment.
Yeah, yes. One reason. Who didn't stare at the gatefold for hours as a kid?
Yeah, that one needs to be translucent yellow vinyl. Lonnie, I listened to Appetite for Destruction Deluxe today. Do you own the Deluxe?
I do. I own the big box.
Now, going to that comment, how often do you get stuff?
Go get it.
Yeah, how often do you get stuff out of it and actually, or do you just listen to the music? Because I think that is a fair comment about all boxes.
I think that is an excellent comment about all box sets. Is how often do you look at it? I mean, I own the original Kiss box set from 2001. How often do I open up that little miniature guitar case and look at the book that came with it? Not very often. How often do I open up that big Appetite for Destruction thing and go and flip through the big book and look at all the little trinkets and everything that it came with? Not very often. But it's a collector's item. Box sets are collector's items more than anything else, and they're made for the uber fans that are the super collectors. And what is Kiss? Kiss is the ultimate collector type band. You know what I mean? So if you don't want to get the super $300 box set, then Kiss and Universal have made it easy for you to own different versions of it. You don't have to buy the $300 one. No one's telling you that this is the only way you're going to get it is buy the $300 one. Go download it off iTunes that morning. If that's fine too. No one's telling you that you have to get it or it's the only way to get it. Even with the Guns N' Roses one, they had that big Appetite box. You open it up, it has a big cross on it. But there was also, and that thing was really, really expensive. I didn't buy it when it first came out because it really came down in price because it was ridiculously expensive, and I bought it when it came down in price. But there were other versions of it too that you could get. Guns did the same thing. So if you don't want to spend that much money on the big one, that's fine. More power to you. But if you want to spend that kind of money on it and have it to slide in next to your Destroyer box set, that's great too.
I bought the iTunes version of that Super Deluxe,
I
bought the iTunes version of every Beatles Super Deluxe that's come out. I don't want those boxes. And Beatles Revolver confirmed as the next one, to no surprise, which I'm looking forward to. But at least if they get one or two, actually two further back, Beatles for Sale, I would love if there's anything around that, or Rubber Soul. So
I'd like to. I need to say something though before we continue this.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I have a comment that I want to read, and just to show that the supporters of this podcast are in fact fantastic people. Now, as you remember, I mentioned in the last podcast that I had missed out on the Revenge vinyl that came out, and was on here kind of, pleading with people if anybody had an extra, if they could, possibly sell me one. Well, I got a message today, and I'm not going to say his full name because he didn't get back to me to say whether it was cool or not to use his full name. So I'm just going to say his name is David, okay? And he wrote me the following. Hi, Mark. I have 2 copies, and I'd like to send one to you as a gift and a thank you. Just need your shipping address. I really enjoy your contributions to the podcast, especially the recording and mixing angles on the discussions. I'm also a relatively new fan to Project Gemini. I am enjoying the vinyls of book 1 and 2 of the trilogy and have pre-ordered book 3. I'll definitely be expanding into your other titles. Thank you again and keep up the good work. So let it not be said that we don't have fantastic supporters of this podcast, because, I said it fully expecting to and had no problem in paying to get this record. I had no problem with it. But here he said, out of the goodness of his heart and as a thank you, he's sending me a copy of it, just as is. So, you hear things about us, the board being cesspool and this and that. But you know what? We have a lot of great people on the board and a lot of great people watching this podcast. And this is proof to me that there are lots of them.
That's very, very cool and absolutely true. Nice. We do appreciate all of you out there who listen to us, everyone who reads the board, participates in it, reads it without an account. You're still reading the same stuff, that other people are participating in. You said the cesspool. We're going to see next week just how many nice comments I'm getting. That should be interesting. So do tune in if you so wish. All right. Should we get on with some board topics this week? Because, I think let's go back to the box set question, that Lonnie and I started on. And Lonnie, back to you. $300 too much, or are you going to stick by what you've already said that, if you don't like it, you can buy another version, or is going up that far from the last price point step too much?
Well, I was surprised when it came out Friday morning. When I saw the price of it, it had a little sticker shock to it. You know what I mean? I was like, oh wow, 300. I know inflation is a thing right now, but we're not here to talk about inflation. And I know that and costs just go up. Period. But and then I think one of you guys said in our group chat, well, they might have looked at, oh, look how well that Destroyer sold. I mean, we could up the price a little bit. I think you said that, Ken. So I was a little surprised by the 300. And at the end of the day, I'll probably do it. I mean, I haven't ordered it yet. I'm probably just going to order it off of Amazon because I had a bad experience ordering it off of Kiss Online last year because it didn't ship on time. And Amazon had it. People were getting it. And I got, pissed off. And then I had to fight to get my money back. And it was a whole thing. But I'll probably end up ordering off of Amazon when it's available. And I'll order it. I'll do it. But like I said earlier, if you don't want to do it, I mean, $300, that's nothing to sneeze at. That's no joke. So, and most people watching this already have probably at least one version of Creatures, if not 4 or 5. So if you don't need another physical copy and you're just interested in the demos and the live tracks, just order it off of Amazon. I mean, not order it off of Amazon. Just download it off of iTunes or something like that too. So it's the $300 one. It's kind of like what Kiss says about their $1,000 or $1,200 ticket for the meet and greet. It's not for everyone. And the $300 Creatures of the Night box set, it isn't for everyone either. But there's multiple ways for you to enjoy this release.
I walked by a Porsche Panamera today. I can't afford one. So I'll keep driving my car and do what I can do within my budget. That's just simply a matter of life. I think there's a certain amount of sticker shock. There's no way to not say inflation because everything's up. We all know that in our personal lives, whether we're filling up with gas, buying a gallon of milk, and some people have budgets that mean they're now buying a half gallon of milk, or half dozen eggs. So it is affecting everyone, but it is also affecting businesses. Every single thing that goes into a product has a line item, whether it's time, whether it's advertising, PR, whatever. The list is endless. So I'm not shocked that a lot of those things have gone up, as have the manufacturers' costs. The people who press. Mark, how tough is it? You're in the business. You have product pressed. You have product designed. I don't think you have a team the size that Universal would for a Creatures box set to deal with. But you're certainly interfacing with pressing plants and printing plants. How tough is it to keep prices down and reasonable for a customer base without alienating them?
It's tough. I mean, let's put it this way. Unless you get a little creative and try to figure ways to offset the cost, it becomes more and more difficult. I mean, I was very lucky that the price of the vinyl that I do for my releases has stayed relatively the same, like maybe $20 here, $30 there. But one thing that did go up a lot was getting the lacquers made. It has gone up, like since I did An Ordinary Day, I was looking at $300 to do them. And now for this last album, for book 3, I had to pay over $500 to get lacquers done now. So one of the things, though, that I was lucky with, and I had fantastic supporters, again, thank you very much for this too, I'll mention that I sell test pressings, right? And the test pressings sometimes help offset some of these costs. It doesn't cover it completely, but it covers quite a bit of it, enough that, I'm not eating macaroni and cheese for a month afterwards because I can't afford exactly to use all my extra money for it, But it is getting, trickier, and I really don't want to increase the cost of my stuff because of that. So I will continue to try to look for other ways to do stuff, offer, handwritten lyrics, offer whatever I can in extras. And sometimes when people do grab these things, it helps offset some of the cost for me. So, and, also setting up a decent system for which I distribute the stuff helped me keep the shipping cost down, which helps as well, because I'm telling you, I'm ordering some stuff off of Bandcamp and the record is like, let's say $30 and the shipping is like $29.50. It's almost as much as the album. I'm like, holy shit. Wow. Like, it's unbelievable how much it costs for some of this shipping. And that's a lot of the times I get a lot of thank yous from my supporters saying thank you for keeping the shipping between $6 and $11, which is unheard of, but I have my little ways that I can do that, right? So it's you have to try to find ways to make things work, otherwise it'll get more and more difficult to do that. And talking about the Kiss box set, I also was kind of sticker shocked when it came up. I was all ready to go to buy the box when I saw it was $300 US. So for me, it's like 400 plus Canadian, for that. I was like, oh shit, I couldn't really afford at the time, but I did buy the 3LP blue vinyl version. I jumped on that right away, and I'm getting a shirt as well. And, there's some other things that I didn't get from the other ones that are now kind of in decent price ranges. So I might, go grab the gold Love Gun pressing that's still available, you know what I mean? And stuff like that. But, the funny thing is sometimes something might happen. Like I have a situation come up where a band has asked me to master their album for them. And because of that, I might be able to buy the box set now. So nice. It's funny how something like that happens, and all of a sudden, hey, now I might actually have the extra money to buy it. So, sometimes you have to be patient with this stuff. Just like Lonnie said, wait a bit. When it comes on Amazon, you might pay a lot less and might get it a lot quicker.
Yeah, I'm still waiting. I mean, it was listed on Amazon for a little while this week, and then they pulled it. So I guess, Kiss Online's going to get a period of exclusivity, and I think one of the products that was announced is exclusive to Kiss Online, because if they have to send, Universal has to send product to Amazon at wholesale. I bet they get more profit out of Kiss fans by selling it through Kiss Online, and that's just business 101, than they do than when we buy it off Amazon, even if we like to leverage our Prime shipping and, usually can't use coupons. Even You Discover, who I usually order a product through because of shipping issues, aren't going to provide that much of a discount, nor will they allow me to use any of my VIP coupons on it. Ken, $300? Too much? Is it? What's the voice of reason got to say about it all?
It's a little too much, just in my opinion. But it looks about the same as just Destroyer box, not too different. But yeah, I mean, I could see them raising it, but it's a 50. If it's inflation, they increased it by 50%. I don't think the inflation rate is 50%.
Not that high.
So,
not yet. They're ahead of the curve.
Yeah, I mean,
they're ahead of the curve.
There may be other factors involved and that I don't know of. So it is what it is. And Lonnie said, well, you can buy some of, we have many copies already, some of us. So like this one here, I mean, here's a one copy. Here's the one that's it's a gatefold copy. And this is
that the glow in the dark or the picture?
Glow in the dark.
It is the glow in the dark monster.
I got the glow in the dark too.
Yeah, there it is. So
I've never even held one.
yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, you can get the other versions, again, like Mark said, the colored, the half-speed version. What's really surprising to me that they didn't do a picture disc.
Yet.
Because that's one of the most, best album covers out there, and you'd think they'd do a picture disc of that. I mean, I have 2 picture discs of Creatures already, of course.
Of course.
One from that era, that one I showed you, they did a picture disc too, and then the old one from the 80s is like Norway or whatever it is.
Holland.
I have that too, that I bought in a store actually when it came out. So I got it regular old price. But yeah, $300. There's some other box sets that are like that, expensive like that.
A business is gonna stress the market to see how much leeway they have, and Universal has been upping the price wholesale of its vinyl in order to try and cool off some of the vinyl market. That's why you've seen a lot of these increases in certain titles. Number one, they're popular, but then you'll also see things happen like the original price of Kiss vinyl was way too high and they had to lower it because it wasn't selling. So it's always a dynamic market. You see how much pain people are willing to allow their wallets to take, or how much abuse we'll take from our spouses, or how many macaroni and cheese meals we're willing to eat to get this stuff. But there are limits, and business is business. So like Lonnie said, the appetite for deluxe had its price lowered, and he got on board with it. So we shall see. Lonnie, I'm going back to you for this one, because it kind of ties in with everything that we've talked about before and during so far. Are we, and that is the Kiss online world, a would've, could've, should've community?
Are we a woulda, coulda, shoulda community?
Yep. Rather than realists.
Absolutely. That's what we do, is we sit around and say, well, that's what we do in this podcast too, is we sit around and say, well, Kiss, they should have done this. Oh, I wish they would have done this. Oh, they really missed the. How many times we have had shows about, oh, it was a missed opportunity right there.
427 times, Lonnie. 427.
Exactly. 1,000%. That's what we do as Kiss fans, is talk about how, well, they really missed the boat on that one. Oh, I wish they would have done that. Well, I think that was a misstep. Everybody's a backseat driver, but I think a lot of fans, if you're an uber fan about Metallica, you probably sit around and say things like that too. Like, oh, they really screwed up when they released Load. They should have done something different. Whatever. I think there's Guns N' Roses podcast that talk about that. But I think that's fair. I think that's fair for any band. I think most Uber fans are woulda, coulda, shoulda about their band. Like, if I was in charge, I would have done it differently. And it's real easy in hindsight, obviously, too.
Yeah, everyone's an armchair quarterback, but you rather than focusing on the reality, because what fun would it be to watch 4 guys on a show go, I like Deuce, and Ken's, I like Deuce, and Lonnie's, I like Deuce, and Mark's, I like Deuce. Well, or I like Destroyer.
We do all like Deuce. No.
I know, but we certainly don't all like Destroyer, so it would make the conversation very boring. I mean, what's your take on that, Ken?
Exactly. Well, I was just thinking, maybe the next episode we do, 428, it should be, what did Kiss do right? Maybe to try to offset everything. We do talk about, that album cover. Well, why did they do that? And we should have done this. They should have done the gatefold. They should have put a poster in this. They should have had a different photo on, all that kind of stuff that we go through, and about songs that they picked, or why didn't they put, It's My Life on Creatures, the original release, and, that kind of stuff. So, yeah, we criticize. It's not necessarily criticizing. It's just like we thought we want Kiss to be the best they can be, even though, they've already done it, and we like to, like, well, geez, I wish they would have really done this or that, but we just want the best from Kiss, and which we've gotten a lot of great stuff. Obviously, it's what are we complaining about here? We got a lot of great music and great videos and live shows that we've attended and that kind of stuff. So they've done a heck of a lot more right than wrong, definitely, in my opinion. So yeah, but we're always looking for something better, or little nitpicking things that we do.
Yeah. There we go. That's next week's topic. That'll be interesting. I'll have to figure out how to frame that question, because we do often start with, what did they do wrong? How would we have done it better or different? So there we go. Next week. Mark.
Yeah, I think that Ken kind of hit the nail on the head as far as what I think where this all kind of comes from. Because I think that it kind of comes from a good place. I kind of think it comes from a place where people want to have Kiss at its very best. Everybody kind of thinks, like, on one hand, that maybe Gene's listening, maybe he'll take some of my advice and maybe he'll listen. Like, I think people sometimes kind of do it from a hopeful perspective, and I don't think that people give these comments to tank Kiss or to make them worse. I think they're trying to do to improve Kiss in their own minds, right? But of course, we don't know all the happenings and the doings behind the scene. I mean, having been in this business for a while myself, there's a lot of stuff that you get your eyes open to when you start learning what's going on, in studios and, behind the scenes at, PR companies or management meetings and stuff like that. You'd be very shocked at what gets talked about and what doesn't get talked about, and who gets involved and who doesn't. How many times a band is not even involved with some of the decisions that are made. When management and a lawyer get together, sometimes they make a decision on something and the band's like, oh, really? That's what happened? Okay, I guess, I guess we have no say. And then the lawyer or the manager will turn around and say, hey, you're paying me 20% or 15% for this kind of work, and there's the argument sometimes, right? So, you never know what's happening behind the scenes, right? And, I think that this whole, perspective that we try to give in is just trying to give Kiss, other options, I guess. Maybe people think that if we present them and talk about them, maybe somewhere down the line they'll hear about it. That's wishful thinking, of course, but you never know. Sometimes they might listen to the podcast, they might hear something. I mean, I'm involved in the Yes Music podcast, and to my surprise, about a year and a half ago, I actually discovered that a lot of those guys from the band actually do listen to the podcast, because their management now is in direct contact with us, and so is their PR company. So, we get now stuff ahead of time sent. We get a lot of press stuff ahead of time. We got the album 2.5 months before it got released, when Yes released their new album. So, it does happen. It's not a fool's errand to think, okay, that is Kiss listening. Maybe they are. Who knows? But every band is different. Every band does stuff differently, and like I said, I think that our comments and the comments of the people that are on here usually come from a good place.
Yeah. I'm going to pull a topic straight off the board from yesterday. Lonnie, Rock and Roll Over is mostly mediocre filler.
Wow.
That's interesting.
Speechless. That was my reaction as well. I'm just going WTF.
I can't even say was it your first time through listening to it, because I think your first time listening through Rock and Roll Over, you'd be like, shit, and like just flip it back over and put it on again. I think that's how I was as a kid when I first listened to Rock and Roll Over. I mean, granted, I had heard I Want You, and I had heard Call Me Dr. Love, because I had Double Platinum and Smash His Ashes and his. But I think, like, when I bought Rock and Roll Over and I, heard songs like Mr. Speed and See You in Your Dreams, and I guess I'd heard Making Love too, that's on Double Platinum also. But hearing like Take Me, and it's like, holy shit, like no, it's not filler. It's arguably their best album. I think if you polled Kiss fans, there'd be some fans that would say Creatures, some fans would say, like Revenge, like me. A lot of them would say Destroyer. Sorry, Mark. But a lot of people would say Rock and Roll Over as well. I mean, I think it would be in everyone's top 5. So I would need a little bit of explanation as to why someone said it's filler.
Okay, so they say that it has 4 mega songs, and I Want You, Dr. Love, Mr. Speed, and Hard Luck Woman. But the rest ranges from mediocre to bad.
Mm.
Well, 4 out of 10 is almost half the album you're saying is mega songs, first of all. So, that's almost half the album, 40%.
Yeah. I mean, I personally can't believe this comment here. Making Love is a bad song. I'm confident that with 3 weeks of guitar lessons, anyone on this board could have easily written a song like Making Love. No, you know what? That's absolutely incorrect. First of all, you have to, whoever wrote this, I don't know if they've ever made love or not, but, you have to be able to make love first to make a comment like that. But anyways, also, playing the song, it may sound easy, but you have to write it. See, this is the thing I don't understand about people. I knew this drummer guy who was like, yeah, man, I can play all of Neil Peart's stuff. I could show you right now my drum kit. Okay, that's great that you could play it, but could you think of it and could you write it? That's a big difference between being able to play it and being able to come up with it and write it, okay? Now, you're saying that these songs are not that great, but guess what? Most people, including myself, have ranked this album as their favorite record of all time. Julian has said it, I've said it, and these are not bad songs. Sure, some of the lyrics are tacky, but think of the time period that these songs are written in. You put your hand in my pocket, grab onto my rocket is the worst lyric in history. Yeah, it's not the greatest lyric either, but there's far worse. There's far worse lyrics than that. And
Read my body.
Yeah, exactly. And there's all kinds of stuff. Torpedo Girls, terrible.
Give me more.
Yeah, give me more. Look, it's just a matter of you had to think of the time period, and you got to think of, what was happening at the time and what they were trying to go for. What was their image at the time? They're writing for their image as well, right? Paul Stanley's not going to write a song that doesn't work well with his whole character, And I think, Grab Onto My Rocket there was just probably perfect for it. I think that it's great. I mean, Making Love, I think is fantastic. I even like Baby Driver, and he said that I can't defend Baby Driver, possibly the worst Peter song in the whole catalog. No, there's far worse ones than that, okay? So, yeah, I mean, yeah. And I know I hit below the belt there a little bit with that comment, so I apologize. But, that kind of rubbed me the wrong way, so.
Oh, someone put a quarter in, which is 10 cents Canadian. And Mark. Ken!
Yeah. Filler. Sure, I mean, maybe you could call a couple of them kind of filler. But yeah, I mean, Take Me is a great song. And those songs, are really good. I don't know. Between that album, what's really good about that album, maybe it may not have all their best songs, but it's the production of it is so great. It's like the perfect production for them, other than maybe Creatures. Those 2 albums just have great production, and that kind of lifts the songs, even if you played Hard Luck Woman or Take Me, or I Want You, let's just say I Want You in Destroyer type production, it wouldn't be half as good as it was on Rock and Roll Over. So anyway, yeah, I mean, it's also addictive.
If it sounded like Love Gun, it wouldn't be as great as it was, and that's why Love Gun isn't as great as Rock and Roll Over. Sonics.
Yeah, I like Love Gun would have been much better had they
That's some balls.
Yeah, it would have been better. I mean, because there's a lot of great songs on that album, obviously. Then She Kissed Me, throw that away. I mean, that's what I would call filler. Yeah. Okay, something like that. Otherwise, I don't know. But anyway, it's, you have your own views, and it's all good. We all have different views. So, but Rock and Roll Over is probably my favorite album too. So it's just the way it is. Though I agree that I'm not saying it's all their best music. It's not. Doesn't have Shout It Out Loud. Doesn't have Detroit Rock City. Doesn't have Deuce on it. But I like it because the production and everything and the sound and just they're on top of the vocal capabilities and playing and everything. Just it's just like a storm, all come together. So anyway,
And a lot of it's
going
on the
forward.
live too. There you go. But I think you nail it. That the production, the songs, the package, everything comes together very, very well on that. Are some songs stronger than others? Yeah, without a doubt. It's an album of 10 songs. That's going to happen. I think the parting shot of this comment, verdict, overall mediocre album. Well, no. No, disagree. Though there are no wrong answers because we all have different opinions. He calls it, I assume it's a he, is the next worst of the first 6 after Dress to Kill. Next to worst.
Wow.
Which is the next question, Lonnie. Which is your least favorite of the first 6?
Make a face when you ask me that question because it's so hard.
Well, is it one that varies, or is it one that you would consistently kind of select? And
I think it's between two. I think I'm going to have to say, I think I would say Hotter Than Hell is my least favorite of the 6. And that's tough because I like Hotter Than Hell. I like a lot of the songs on Hotter Than Hell. But as we've talked about before, the production on Hotter Than Hell is really leaves something to be desired. I mean, I like Parasite. I like Let Me Go Rock and Roll. I like Got to Choose. But none of those versions of those songs are my go-to version of that song. If I want to listen to Got to Choose, it's off of MTV Unplugged. If I want to listen to Parasite, it's off of Alive. If I want to listen to Coming Home, it's off MTV Unplugged. If I want to listen to Going Blind, it's off MTV Unplugged. It's not those versions. Again, I just listed, some really. If I want to listen, let me go rock and roll. It's off of Alive. I've listed some really great Kiss songs and some classic Kiss songs that appear on that record, but it's the hardest one of the 6, I think, to listen to, front to back. Not that it's hard to listen to, but of the 6 of them, it's the one I play the least. The first one probably either be top one may be Dress to Kill. Sorry, Dress to Kill or Rock and Roll Over. That was a tough little comparison we did a couple weeks. But for me, my least favorite would be Hotter Than Hell.
Always good to put someone on the spot with these questions because Mark and
see, these guys get to think about it.
I know they do, and so do I. But I disagree with Hotter Than Hell because I wouldn't change it because it would ruin it. Just like Destroyer Resurrected never gets played for me. I go to the mix down of the Blu-ray from Destroyer now as my kind of definitive go-to to hear all that extra stuff. But albums that have sonic problems, I often find have more character. Say, take the leather version of Motley Crue's Too Fast for Love. That's the only one I will listen to.
That's a great one.
Yeah. Take the original version of Twisted Sister's Under the Blade. I'll take that any day over the remix, whatever the fuck you want to call that thing, So, you get used to the character, even though initially it may be displeasing, especially in sonic contrast to others. I mean, if I go with any least favorite of the first 6, it's always Love Gun. And it's not because of the material per se, because you've got I Stole Your Love, you've got Christine 16, you've got Almost Human and Love Gun, and even Hooligan. It is simply down to I don't like the sonics of that more than I don't like the sonics of Hotter Than Hell, because the songs on Hotter Than Hell are core catalog songs, foundational stuff, whereas some of the stuff is less so. Tomorrow and Tonight and Then She Kissed Me, married with a production, and I often call it a sister album to Dress to Kill because of the similar, very kind of overly polished, has taken off all the edge. So it's usually between Dress to Kill and Love Gun, but Love Gun today is the one I'll go with. Ken?
I mean, they're all good albums, but for me, Dress to Kill is the one that is my least favorite out of those. Not because technically the production's fine. It's kind of a more of a poppy, catchy kind of sound to it. But I think the material was rushed. That's part of the problem for me. Some of it, especially Gene songs, and I'm a Gene fan, so I think that's Gene's worst effort of the '70s on that album. Really, I mean, they brought She, but that She was already out there from before that. They just finally put on the album on Just to Kill. I think Room Service is even kind of rushed, and they had that lead. They had that instrumental lead into Rock Bottom, which is great, but I think it was just they had to do it. They had to fill it out. But though there's some great songs on there, obviously, with Come On and Love Me and Rock and Roll All Night and that sort of thing. But that album just to me seems like a rush job. It could have been a lot better, I think, if they had more time. They just had to crank it out and get back out there on the road. So that's the one I pick for least favorite out of the first six.
Okay, we're not going to ask Mark.
That's why you tune into
we already
this show.
know what.
That's why you tune into this show, because you ask 4 guys what their least favorite album is, the original 6, and you get 4 different answers.
Or do we? Mark.
That's true.
Come on, Mark.
Why don't you share with us which of the original 6 albums that are classic, highest of the high, the best of Kiss, do you dislike?
Well, I think it's well known within the community that I absolutely loathe Destroyer. It is the worst Kiss record in existence.
You don't like Destroyer?
No, I do not like Destroyer.
Meanwhile, someone sent you a
clutch
Destroyer
my
box
pearls.
set.
Well, no, they're sending me a Revenge album.
Oh, okay, all right. It's Revenge.
Yeah.
I thought it was Destroyer.
No.
Okay.
And the thing is, what you all kind of discussed is one of the main reasons why I hate it so much, is the production of it. I don't like the piano, all this symphony orchestra stuff, children's choir, his kids yelling over, CB radios on, it's just does not Kiss. Okay. It's not it's not the Kiss that I was wanting to hear at that point. Okay. Or expecting to hear at that time in their career. Okay. So I think Ezrin should be, slapped in the head for that, and told to rethink it. And I think that's maybe why they redid it. Maybe that's why they did, the whole, redone one. Maybe he wanted to try something different. Maybe he wanted to try to do something more, against the grain to what he did. I still don't think, Resurrected is much better, because it still has a lot of the elements in there that I didn't like to begin with. So, yeah, I really can't stand Destroyer. It's just a terrible record.
Well, I'm shocked, Mark. I'm absolutely shocked. So why don't we just go straight back to you? And this was another pretty good topic, actually. I even chimed in on it several times. Do you think that the 1980 Unmasked tour was a success?
Yeah, I think in a way it was, because they played a lot of markets that they had not played before. I mean, if my memory serves me correctly, when they went on Destroyer tour, they went to like England and a couple of spots, like I think in Sweden and stuff like that. I don't think they like attacked Europe as deeply as they did in the 1980 tour. I could be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that they went into more detail as far as touring in that area. And apart from a few mishaps, like I remember reading in the book somewhere that they had some crazed fans in Italy trying to rush their dressing room and stuff like that, which probably didn't make them feel very secure about touring the rest of Italy. But I think overall, I think that tour did pretty well for them. I mean, they went in and broke in a lot of ground. I mean, I remember reading though at the end too that they said that Phonogram, actually, sorry, were not too happy with the amount of money that got spent on the tour and how much they got hit up for it. So maybe on a financial level, it was not a success. But I think as far as expanding their fan base and getting the name Kiss spread across Europe, I think it was a success.
Lonnie, what say you?
I think it was a success for them. I mean, they hadn't toured Europe since right before Destroyer came out. They were able to do that. You know, we've all seen the crowds that they attracted in Australia in 1980. You know, they had kind of they really toured the States extensively for Dynasty. You know, it might have been a little bit of an oversaturation of the market, and they had toured the U.S. so much between 74 and 79. And they did kind of oversaturate the market, and they were smart enough to know that there wasn't a market for them for a tour in 1980, that they should give the Americans a break. So they didn't tour. It would have drawn in the U.S. for Unmasked? We don't know. But I think for the tour itself, I think it was a success. They went to Australia for the first time. They toured Europe again for the first time in I guess 4 years. So, you know, it was a success for what it was. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think they simply surviving 1980. You have to call the tour a success. They lost a drummer, gained a drummer, successfully went out on the road, survived a tour, spent way too much money. Do you separate commercial success with the hype? Because on a hype, it was definitely a success, especially in Australia, less so in Europe, where a lot of venues weren't sold out and they were back in smaller venues, just from the nature of it being Europe. They couldn't tour America. I mean, come on, they went from Madison Square Garden in 79 down to the Palladium, you know, and they still had to engage the second run of ads for that show to get 3,400 sold out. So I don't think there was a market. There was a reason for touring Europe because of Phonogram, the New Deal. But I really don't know with the shifting, you know, taste in music in 79. Van Halen's becoming a monster. AC/DC's, you know, coming into their heyday. Priest, you know, British Steel. You know, the list is endless. Even the bands that were more of the stadium rock, the REO Speedwagons, you know, there are a lot of bands that are you know, more popular, but all the kind of old guard are falling off. Nugent's falling off. BOC's, I think, falling off at that point, though they did, Burning the Flame, have, you know, resurgence, you know, like a 8-year overnight success story. 81 was, you know, that, but Aerosmith obviously had imploded as well by that time, so, and had problems touring the U.S. and even given up and, you know, just gone into the clubs to keep revenue moving. So I think Kiss was in a similar boat, but the tour itself, that it was completed successfully, and I'm going to explore a lot of this in Mask Hysteria and put my theories to the paperwork that goes with it. I think it has to be called a success, simply that they made it through it, that they were able to, you know, bring Eric Carr into the fold and go on quite an extensive tour of the world and visit quite a few new markets, Australia, New Zealand, certainly Italy. Can't remember the other European countries that may have been the first visits. Ken?
Yeah, I was gonna. It's funny you said that. I was gonna say I'll let you know once I read Mask Hysteria on whether they're successful or not. But yeah, I mean, it's from a tour, Australia, very successful. They were like the Beatles. I mean, that's the success they had. The pandemonium and stuff that was going on there for them by Australia was amazing. But it's not a success from the fact that they probably wanted to do a U.S. and I think they wanted to do a European, but I don't think the interest was there anymore. And like in the U.S., the Dynasty and the Unmasked, kind of, and maybe the movie too, kind of threw them, you know, kind of had the kids come in and the older original fans kind of drift off. Therefore, they really couldn't do it here. But yeah, from standpoint of the Australia tour itself, definitely successful. There's no doubt about that.
All right, Kiss rules the month of September. Ken,
Yeah.
you posted the topic. Lead us in, and what do you think is the most important part of September? That we're on the 1st of September today. What's the one event that you really think that we should be celebrating, and how should we be celebrating it in the month?
I don't know.
It's a pop quiz.
Kiss took off the makeup. I don't, there's a lot of things that happen in September. That's what I found that article, and then I posted it up there. I think it was from 2017. Some guy wrote that, and he listed a whole bunch of stuff that Kiss released and did. And in September, it's just a huge thing. And I always thought October was kind of the most active month. I think they're probably pretty even, I'm guessing. But didn't.
That's Scott Carr wrote that. That's cool.
Yeah, Lick It Up, I would say, is a big deal for me. That was pretty cool. I was very excited after seeing the Unmasking live or whatever on MTV in the evening, and I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. And I immediately went out and bought the on Tuesday, the following Tuesday, it was like a Sunday night, and then I think a Tuesday was the release, and I immediately at lunchtime went and picked up Lick It Up. So that was an exciting time.
Lonnie, September, what would you pick as a standout?
For me personally, it's the release of Psycho Circus. I remember skipping class in college to go buy Psycho. I know. If only if I had went to that history class that morning, my life would be totally different. But I remember not going to class that morning because I wanted to go buy Psycho Circus the moment it came out, because it was the most anticipated Kiss album ever, really. Maybe in my fandom anyway, and maybe the most anticipated Kiss album ever. I mean, I couldn't wait to go buy, and I was totally bought in at the time. And I'd heard rumors I guess they're not rumors if they're true, but I'd heard things that it wasn't Ace and Peter. Even before the record came out, I was, you were hearing things like that on probably on the FAQ. And I didn't want to believe it. I said, those guys are full of shit. No, it's Ace and Peter. Come on. It's the reunion album.
Come on.
But I obviously I was wrong. But for me, it's Psycho Circus. That's the one that came out in September. Really, at almost at the height of my fandom. I couldn't love Kiss any more than I did in 1990. So for me, that's the one that stands out.
That's the one I'd edit out. No, just because it was, in hindsight, it was such a letdown because I bought into that album. I couldn't tell. It was a Kiss album. I'm not a trained drummer. Yeah. I clearly don't have the ears to identify the difference between Ace and not Ace, though Into the Void is clearly one of the best songs on the album. But it's been a reaction against it, because once the conversations online started pointing out what was obvious to many and not me, it just soured the whole thing. That here was your chance, guys, and you basically blew it for whatever reasons. Frankly, I don't care, because it's on all four of those guys for blowing it. And just the fact that they brought Fairburn in, the completely wrong producer, I think it would have been a vastly different thing with Would've, Could've, Should've, who I perceive to be a more appropriate producer. So, and the album hasn't aged badly either, which is weird. that now I actually do listen to it more. I think I'm over my hump with it. It fits into the Kiss story probably perfectly because it isn't honest. My favorite thing in the month of September, it's gonna have to be the thing I'll celebrate. It's the 30. Is it the 35th anniversary of Crazy Nights? 87, 17. Oh no, 36. 30. Wait, no, it is 35th. I can't do math. Fuck me.
Yeah.
Because of the same reason that Lonnie said, the excitement and being so into it. I was a new fan at the time, obviously with Asylum. This was my first new release. Though every album I bought from Kiss was my first new release, but this was the first new one. And I remember the excitement, the wait. God, it was a long wait. And the summer of 87 and 87, just is all smushed into one because there was so much going on musically for me. Whitesnake, the 87 album, Guns N' Roses. I'd been into them, and following all the hype in the press going back to 86. And that was out. Def Leppard's Hysteria, The Wait Was Over, finally, was coming as well. And Aerosmith's Permanent Vacation had dropped. And Motley Crue, Girls, Girls, Girls that year. I think that was earlier in the year. But there was a lot of excitement. But Kiss was the one that I was looking forward to. And I was in Singapore at the time, so I wasn't able to buy Hit Parade or Circus Magazine, so I was cut off from the world that summer, other than what music I was able to buy out there. So I'm back in the U.S. and I'm on my bicycle. Actually, no, I was on the bus to go down to Music City in Binghamton to get that. I remember going in, where's the new Kiss Crazy Nights album? Do you have it? I had my shitty little red Sony Walkman with those terrible headphones. I still wear terrible headphones, so nothing's changed. And I remember, walking back to the bus stop and sitting down in front of a store. I can't remember what it was. Opening up that cassette deck, sliding in that cassette tape, opening up. That was a long J card as well in that one. Doing a double take at a blue thong. And pressing play. And by that point, I'd heard the lead-off single, so I was kind of over that. But it was like pressing it and hearing it, just the excitement of pressing play. Everything that came afterwards isn't really worth celebrating for me because of how I reacted to the album at a time where you have Master of Puppets and all those other albums going, and here's a Kiss album that doesn't sound anything like Kiss in terms of its sonics, but I think it's worth celebrating because you can never have that first moment again. That first moment of anything in our lives sticks with us forever. Mark.
Yeah, interesting, because I'm kind of wondering what was in the water then, because September seems to be the most productive month that Kiss has ever done anything. I mean, it says here, and I don't know if these are all correct dates, but it says the solo albums came out the 18th, Out of Control came out in September, Lick It Up came out on the 18th, Crazy Nights came out on the 18th, Psycho Circus 22nd, Anomaly on the 15th, Asylum on the 16th. It's, wouldn't it be surprising if they released an album this year in September? That would never happen. But if there's going to be a time that they release a record, maybe it'll be in September, But I mean, looking back at all, and even Alive apparently came out, was it September 10th, 75, I think they said. So September seems to be the month for it. Is it because it's back to school? Are they trying to hit the kids up? Is it back to school time? Get the new binders and the, pencil crayons and get your new Kiss album while you're at it. It's possible, but a lot of Kiss records came out at this time, and for me, of course, being who I am, my favorite unmasked Kiss record of all time is Asylum, and that came out September 16th, 85. So I'm going to be definitely playing that one on heavy rotation that week as a celebration of that record, because it's still, to me, a record I can go back to and listen to over and over and over again. And it's probably one of the rare albums in my collection that I have on vinyl, multiple copies, UK, US, Canada, blah, 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 blah. And they even had those ridiculous, the Canadian with the white label and the Canadian with the blue label, center label, how they had those little variations of the vinyl that came out and people were hunting for it high and low. The Canadian Kiss collectors, there was a big brouhaha when one guy went into some record store, asked the guy to close the shop, gave him some extra money, and went through his whole entire Kiss catalog of stuff, and finally found one of these infamous dark blue Asylum center label ones and posted it all over the internet. And everyone was like, wow, he found one. I ended up finding one as well. So that was cool. But, I really think that album impacted me quite a bit, and like I said, it's the only record I have on vinyl. I have it on CD and I have it on cassette too. So you got to love
it's a lot of play.
Yeah, you got to love a record to get it on cassette as well. Plus, I have a couple of other ones. Believe it or not, I have Destroyer on cassette. So that's got to tell you something. So, but yeah, Asylum is definitely my thing that I think should be celebrated in the month of September.
Wow, I can't hear Julian.
No, I'm sorry. I was talking to myself again. I'm trying to do an order. No,
sorry.
I'm trying to do an order right now. It's like, come on, complete order. All right, yeah. I just put the link for what I'm frantically ordering into our little chat because it is a limited edition. Order confirmed. All right, so now I can wrap up this show. Back to the show. That's it. That really is it. So anyone who's been on the board today will have seen the Cauldron versus the Cesspool. Yeah. Tune in next week to Three Sides. And then we'll have a conversation about that as well. So, look forward to everyone's comments on it. Again, we appreciate you watching us. We appreciate you watching any podcast, anything that Kiss fans do for others to enjoy. I happen to like getting together with these four guys or any of the guys that are part of our orbit and just talking about Kiss for an hour or so every week. It makes my week better and hopefully does the same for them and you. So for now, from Ken, from Lonnie, Mark, and myself, thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time. Thank you for spending time listening to the KissFAQ podcast today. All sales are final, there are no refunds. If you'd like, look us up on Facebook or come over to the KissFAQ message board and discuss the topic we've broadcast today. Don't forget to rate us on iTunes, Spreaker, or wherever you've listened to the show. We hope you'll join us again.